2 days ago, an explosion was reported in a factory in Telangana Sangareddy, which is right in the outskirts of Hyderabad. And since then, while rescue operations have continued, unfortunately, the death toll too has climbed up. 40 deaths have been reported in this explosion. And while what exactly caused the blast is still right now being investigated, there's been a chilling web of legal loopholes and official apathy. On your screens right now, what we're putting out are all of the lapses that have been confirmed. There was no fire clearance. There was no NOC at all that the building had. 40 lives have been lost, let's be very clear, to just negligence. And the reality is that perhaps nobody will pay the price for it. Why? Because there were legal loopholes that essentially the management used to ensure that they didn't need any of the permits necessary for a factory to be able to operate and to ensure the necessary fire safety norms are put in place. What am I talking about? Take a look at this report first, and then I'll bring in our panelists.
In what can be called a man-made tragedy, 40 lives were wiped out in a fire at the Sigachi Pharma Chemical Factory in Telangana Sangareddy. A tragedy not born of fate, but of apathy, loopholes.
The whole concrete structure and the industrial equipment, everything is smashed into pieces, and this debris that you see is completely burnt for hours, and now the whole debris is being removed and people are being identified. Several of them whose body parts are missing, their DNA samples are being taken, and also the family members' DNA samples are collected and matched so that the missing persons are identified.
The factory ran without a fire NOC, without a safety audit, and without accountability. And the excuse? A legal blind spot. Fire DG Nagi Reddy chillingly admitted no clearance was needed, so none was taken.
We have not taken any NOC, so this building does not come under the purview of Section 13 of the Fire Act.
Okay.
Where NOC is required.
Okay.
So that is why many such buildings do not take permission from the fire department.
Okay.
Basically, they have to keep the fire safety systems as per the requirement of that industry.
A factory built in 1989 with patchy extinguishers and no fire safety record became a death trap for workers who never stood a chance. Today, 40 families are grieving and demanding justice, whereas many still remain missing.
पूरा 3 बजे चला ऐसा इधर ब्लास्ट हुआ बोल के, तो जब भी मेरे पापा आए बोल रहे अभी हॉस्पिटल शिफ्ट कर रहे, हॉस्पिटल पूरा ढूंढने तो भी नहीं दिख रहे. सब मेरे मामा, सब मेरे आंटी, सब ढूंढ रहे, सब हॉस्पिटल, मगर किधर भी नहीं पाते. 20 इयर्स का था.
9:25 को ऐसा ब्लास्ट हो गया. हमारे को 3:30 को मालूम हो गया. सुबह में हमारे को नहीं मालूम था. उन्हें ड्यूटी आके करा नहीं करा, वो जॉइन किया नहीं किया नहीं मालूम हो रहा है. फोन तो इधर गेट के पास मिल गया हमारे को.
If no permission was needed and none was taken, who will take responsibility for these 40 lives? With Abdul Bashir in Sangareddy, Bureau Report, India Today.
Let me bring in Abdul Bashir, who's joining us live. He's been reporting from Sangareddy, tracking closely the rescue operations that have been underway for the last 2 days. Abdul, at this point, the focus is also on the investigation of what led to the blast. We understand an FIR has been registered. Take us through really what the investigation has thrown up so far.
Well, after the incident had taken place on 9/27 on Monday, where this blast had taken place, then the authorities have immediately swung into rescue operations, till now, the death toll is 40. And yesterday, the Chief Minister Revanth Reddy had visited the spot, spoke to the officials, spoke to the management, and he had clearly stated that there would be a thorough investigation, and if any lapses found, there will be stringent action against the management. Now, here the management has said that there is no boiler explosion that has taken place, but what exactly has happened is not known to them as well. So the investigation is being done by the authorities, by the police, by the expert team, and whatever comes out will be cooperated, is what the management has said. But management has also declared that 40 members have died in this incident, and more than 30 people are right now undergoing treatment, and most of them said to be critical. Now the lapse, when we talk about the lapses and safety measures here, well, when we spoke to Nagi Reddy, the fire DG here, he said that there is no fire NOC required for this particular operation. Now here there were a certain chemical substances that were prepared in this whole plant. 143 members involved in an operation, more than 90 in one single shift, and then the explosion takes place. So 90 members in that particular building, and what exactly the operation were, all the information. Now here all the information has to be gathered, is what the authorities are are saying. It is the third day that the incident after the incident took place, and yet there is no proper clarity what led to this particular accident.
Just confirm
and
for us, Abdul, is the rescue
officials
operation
claim
complete,
that, the vice
or is that
president of
still
this
going
particular
on at the
company-
site?
Well, there's around 10 people who are still missing. So the authorities are now moving the whole debris in the particular site and trying to identify if there is any body or any remains, human remains are being found in this particular debris, so that the DNA test will be done, and those person missing, there'll be a clarification as to whether they were there in the particular building when incident took place, or whether they're absent, is what is to be known.
Hope so.
So this
Let's hope
particular
that they weren't
operation
there
is
in the
right now
building.
ongoing.
And if they're there, of course, it will take nothing short of a miracle to ensure that those 10 people are pulled out alive. We will hope at this point that the death toll doesn't climb beyond 40. But it is looking very, very grim, because as Abdul tells you, at this point, the rescue operation continues. Thanks, Abdul Bashir, for getting us those updates. Before I bring in the Congress and the BRS on this broadcast, a couple of questions that we want to put out on this particular incident that's happened. It's one that could have easily been avoided, going by the lapses that we've told you about. So who is to blame for the brazen lapses at the factory? Are these legal loopholes that the management essentially exploited? Or was it that nobody simply bothered to check? Why were there no checks done for necessary permits, particularly in an area like this that is fire prone? It's full of factories, and yet nothing was done to ensure adequate provisions are made, precautionary steps are taken. Do the factory owners enjoy political patronage? What explains the fact that the FIR has been registered, no action has been taken so far against the management or against anyone for that matter? Could this tragedy have been avoided? Like I said, there were a number of issues here that have come to light that clearly highlights the apathy of the management here of this factory. Could this have been avoided? Could this tragedy have not taken place? We don't know the source of the explosion yet, so that's something that's under investigation. Where is the factory owner? Where is the management right now? The management says we've been on ground. Chief Minister Revanth Reddy yesterday questioned what really the priority was. The factory owner somewhere abroad, because mind you, the company we're talking about, Sigachi Industries, is a mammoth company worth about 2,000 crore rupees. It's got factories, setups, units across the world. Let me bring in on this broadcast now to answer some of these questions, at least seek some answers. We've got Krishank Mane, leader of the BRS, joining us on this broadcast. Navika Harshe, spokesperson of the Congress, and Mr. Naveen Bhatnagar, former DIG of the NDRF. Thank you all very much for your time. Mr. Bhatnagar, I'd like to begin with you. The obvious question that comes up here is, how is this even possible that a factory was operating without an NOC, without basic fire permits, and the fingers right now are being pointed at the fact that none of these NOCs were even required? Is that possible, sir, in a fire-prone area?
Yeah, it is quite surprising that how a fire DG is saying that no NOC is required for that. Please see the rules on this subject and the orders of the Honorable Supreme Court, as well as the Factory Act also. Without getting the fire clearance, nobody can establish such type of factory in that particular area, because there are a lot of chemicals and explosive materials are being kept there. And for that purpose, the safety norms, safety audit, fire audit, and all these things are required time and time. But it's quite surprising that management had taken it very lightly. They have not taken any serious view on this subject. That is why it happened. And the fire NOC, without fire NOC, nobody can establish such type of big industry. I don't know how the people are saving their skin, but it is a very sad news and also reflects on the negligent part on the management as well as the local authorities also.
So here's
Because
what Mr. Bhatnagar, the local authorities are saying, and I want your expert view on this. You're saying it's impossible that in this kind of an area, this kind of a building can function without the necessary permits. They're saying that this building, being an old building, was exempt from actually needing the necessary NOCs. Do you buy that? Is that possible?
here Kamal hai. It's a Kamal really wonderful that with these heavy chemicals and highly explosive chemicals and other materials are being kept there. And they are taking it very lightly. So it's a totally failure on the management as well the administration as well as all the authorities related to this particular subject. And also the government also of that particular state. They are also responsible for that because they have not checked and the orders of the Honorable Supreme Court as well as other relevant sections also. Because as per Factory Act also, a highly explosive materials are being kept there and it can be harmful for all the purposes. But nobody taken care. That is why it happened. No safety audit was held or this objection, safety audit and objections were there. Nobody taken care about to remove all the weaknesses.
True.
That is why it happened. Yeah.
No, I think you've made a very, very important point and kind of set the stage for this discussion to go forward. Mr. Bhatnagar, I'll request you to stay on with me. Let me bring in Navika Harshe to respond to you. Navika, you know, what Mr. Bhatnagar has done is essentially exposed to you the clear lapses, and no amount of, look, this was a building that was exempt from NOP is going to cut it, Navika. There will be questions asked on how we're giving a clean chit right now to the management for not having the basic precautions in place.
Hi, Akshita. Thank you for having me on your show. First and foremost, nobody has been given a clean chit. There has been an FIR book. There's a case which has been put up on the management. And then on the sections on culpable homicide not amounting to murder and on voluntarily causing grievous hurt. And the Hydra, which is the response authority of Telangana, that is also there. And the Chief Minister himself has said that he's going to look into this and see what happened. Now, we have to remember a couple of things. This is an old factory. This is a private factory. This is not the government's factory. And this factory has been there for 35 years. And the fact that we are now looking at it, and it's a tragic accident. And I really wish it hadn't happened. 40 deaths is not something we can be comfortable with. But this is also the time where the administration has acted on time. As soon as this blast happened, the health minister was there, followed by other ministers, and even the chief minister went there. We have ensured that people will get medical treatment. The disaster management post this disaster has been very quick and effective. We have provided for medical support. We have also ensured that people get money and are treated. And I know money is never the solution, but at this point when people are suffering, at least it alleviates some of the suffering. But this cannot be thought of as a failure of the administration because we have openly said that the chief minister basically said, what are your priorities to the management of this company? So he has pulled them to task. And now we're going to look into it and see what else has happened. And again, as I said, this has been there for 35 years. So what had been happening for 35 years? It's not just one government, right? And who are they close to? And what are we talking about?
Okay. Krishank, your opening comments. You know, Navika Harshe is highlighting how this isn't a problem that's come up now. It's a problem that's perhaps plagued many areas. I wouldn't even limit it to Telangana, but many parts of the country, including what's happened in Sangareddy.
Well, Akshita ji, it's very easy to actually say that, that this company was set up 4 decades ago, so it's not a problem of now. But the point is, when I've heard the fire DG saying this, that this company does not come under the norms, is really questionable, because the chemicals, the microcrystalline celluloid which they use, or the ammonia which they use, those chemicals, and in fact, the prospectus of Sigachi Industries itself says that they use hazardous chemicals. So how doesn't it come? Why is the fire DG defending? Is really questionable. Point number one. Point number two is, we have a directorate of factories in place which does inspection annually. So our demand is that the directorate of factories, if they have inspected from the last 1.5 years, then what are the outcomings of their inspection is very important. Because yesterday, when we've heard through the media, the family members, the grieved family members, and few other workers who've come out outside the factory have actually spoken to the media and said that they've been complaining of outdated machinery equipment within the Sigachi Industries. Then how did the officials fail? If there was an inspection or not? Because from 1.5 years, if your government is at place, because see, be it SLBC tunnel collapse or once again this happening, when people from other states are coming here for a livelihood, then their lives are a responsibility of our government, of Telangana government, to protect them. Be it Biharis, because unfortunately,
No, of course, yeah. There's no doubt
we, we,
about
we,
that.
we
That
have
right
to
now.
take responsibility for that. So
No, there's no doubt
here,
about that. Before I
last
give a chance, yeah, go ahead, Krishank. Last point.
in SLBC tunnel collapse also, because it was the government who, while reports have mentioned, Amberg report mentioned that this is really risky to go forward, even then the government took it up, and we saw 50 lives were risked, few workers came outside running, 8 dead bodies. Still, we haven't found 6 dead bodies. And
Yeah.
today, the numbers are still not clear. See, what happens is, yesterday media has said that 143 people were there. 143 people were present when this incident happened. And now, Sigachi has written to stock exchange. They have not responded to the media or to the family members there. They've written it to the stock exchange that 40 confirmed have died. That is how we get to know the number now. Now, how
Okay,
many are
so,
actually
you've
listening?
raised questions.
Who are they?
Krishan, give me
These
a
all
moment so that
questions
we can
are
give Navika also time to respond. Just before that, I want to play out for our viewers what the Telangana Chief Minister said yesterday. He was there, he visited this particular site where the blast had happened. He also pulled up Sigachi Industries over their response to the blast. Listen in to their exchange.
Are you competent authority to sign? That is what. Tomorrow you will say that I am not authorized person, sir. Just time being I have signed, or otherwise just time being I was addressing issues. If that is the case, someone has to take responsibility, no? That authorized letter is there. Dan Kishore, have you checked his authorization? Executive Vice Chairman was beside me. Kishore, this is your responsibility to see that he is authorized person or not. If he is not authorized person, if he is signing also, it is not going to serve any purpose. It is not valid also. You have to decide how much you are going to pay. Any insurance is there? So this is the time to act with humanity. So this is not, you cannot see as an accident. No, company has to think in a way. More than 24 hours over, no, where is your management, MD, who is the right person? He has to come, no, the major accident taken place in your premises, he has to come, he has to see, he has to visit deceased persons or who is alive. So he cannot avoid the situation, no. He has to come. Ask him to come and meet our district minister and labor and employment minister.
So, Navika, we've played out what the Chief Minister said yesterday. And yes, you're right in pointing out that he's pulled up the management. He said that they have to act in a humane manner when this kind of a tragedy, questioned where they are. But then you hear what the fire DG says. It almost sounds like, there's an attempt to give them a clean sheet, saying, look, this building was exempt from getting an NOC. There was no need for them to have necessary permits. The question then will come up. What about regular audits, particularly in an area like this, which is an industrial area, which has so many of these factories, obviously very fire prone? Why was none of that done? Is the administration being pulled up for that?
So I'd like to quickly, I think the Chief Minister put out the points very well. I think he very beautifully said, that it is it's a human crisis of, we require a humane approach to this crisis. And the way he pulled up the person and he said, are you even authorized? And if you look, there are very many senior ministers who are with the Chief Minister. So this shows that we are very concerned about this. And we are very concerned because people from other states are also working here. And this is a very serious issue for us, and we're dealing with it very seriously. Now, what the DG said, I think the Chief Minister trumps the DG at this point, because the Chief Minister has very clearly laid out what our priorities are. And we have very
priorities, yes, but the fact is that, Navika, and we've played out for our viewers what the Chief Minister said. He hasn't spoken about the kind of permits there, safety norms, none of that. That's not something the Chief Minister has spoken on. Yeah.
Yes, but I also find it interesting that my colleague also only mentioned permits and audits for 1.5 years. I mean, the fact that it's a 35-year-old factory and my colleague was in power for the last 10 years, and Sangareddy and Hyderabad have grown exponentially in these 10 years. So what was in place then? We are coming into this government and now we are showing our seriousness and we are saying that, listen, this is not how it happens. And whoever doesn't follow the rules will be pulled up and will be put to task. And I think that comes out very clearly in what we are saying and what we're doing, including the sort of efforts we are doing for rescue, the efforts we have immediately sort of sanctioned, the fact that there's an FIR out there and we have announced compensation, we have announced medical compensation. I think our seriousness and the seriousness of the government, Congress government, is very clear in this.
I don't want to resort to any political back and forth because I think we're beyond that right now, especially when we're talking about a tragedy of this magnitude where we've lost 40 lives. But Krishank, on the point of what's really happened here, the Congress is saying that our response has not been found wanting in any way. We've ensured adequate response. We've immediately ensured necessary action has been taken.
Well, if you're questioning that where is the management after 26 hours, let me tell you that the Chief Minister also went there after 26 hours. That's the fact. We do not want to politicize this issue, but Honorable Chief Minister Revanth Reddy garu felt it more as a priority to attend a graduation party of their MLA's daughter than attending immediately to this serious concern where so many lives have gone. Because, see, we do not want this kind of incident should be as an example of one more Union Carbide where the accused actually got a chance to run away. Here, after 26 hours, the Chief Minister goes and asks, where is the management? And in fact, yesterday it was the minister. I am saying this because as an opposition party, our local leader, the former minister Harish Rao garu, was the first person to actually visit there, to be there on the ground.
No, but Navika did mention, Krishank, that a minister was immediately sent to the site.
And but the health minister was there immediately. Yesterday, Damodar Rajnasimha garu was there.
The magnitude here is larger. So many lives
he went there.
Lost.
He instantly ran there. He went there. We were followed by a minister, and then the Chief Minister himself went.
Okay, let Krishank finish his point, Navika.
Pull up your authorities. You should actually pull up your authorities. Be stern. Ensure that the top of the management should actually be there present. That was supposed to be there mandatorily. You, as a chief minister, you cannot go sit there and actually wait for who is the top, who is the authority, put a bureaucrat responsible for that. No. We still do not know the numbers, the actual numbers. The numbers have been stopped from being released. Since yesterday, after the 40 deaths, if you see, Akshita ji, the numbers are not being mentioned, the numbers are not being released. There are family members who are still waiting, requesting, begging, because their family members are missing.
No, are you saying there's been a lack of communication, Krishank? Has there been a lack of communication from the government? Because, you know that 40 deaths have been reported. That's been confirmed by the government now.
Exactly. Now, see, if the Chief Minister and his entire cabinet reacts after 24 hours, Within 24 hours, if you would have taken this seriously, you could have used the services, different services of different platforms of disaster response forces, teams from the central. Because this is not the first time. In Khammam floods also, let me tell you that for 26 hours, we could not provide a helicopter. Akshita ji, you have reported this. A guy, Subhan, with a JCB had to go and save 10 people in the midnight because the government could not utilize helicopters. So this cannot happen. Same with the SLBC tunnel also. And here again, you cannot react after 26 hours when it is just 20, 30, 40 kilometers away from you.
Navika,
We
quick
reacted
response.
much earlier. We reacted much earlier. That's how Hydra is there. All the authorities are there. And Hydra even went into it, and we are getting statements about what could be the possible causes. We have been there right from the beginning. Even our senior leaders, senior leadership from AICs, including Rahul Gandhi, have responded. So the fact that we haven't responded is not an allegation, I think, is accurate at all. The discussions can be on other things, but I think we have responded. We have done what it requires and what it takes.
So let me put the focus. Let me put the focus. Okay, Navika, Krishank, I'll request you both to stay on with me also at this point. But I want to take this across to Ankit Kumar, who's with our OSINT team, and he's kind of decoded the kind of lapses that have emerged. What are the basic safety norms that are to be followed, which wasn't followed in this case? Ankit, it's over to you.
Well, Akshita, willful blindness is the word to define this entire incident. What we have done is we have reviewed all the documented major fire incidents in this entire industrial complex, and based on this data, we can say there were enough red flags to assume that this was an accident waiting to happen. In the yellow dots are the industrial plots or facilities, and there are 23 of them. These are recorded, these are documented fire incidents, and there are at least 23 fire incidents over past 7 years that has happened in this particular industrial complex. If these are not enough red flags to be change the regulation to make the fire safety norms more stringent, the NOC is absolutely mandatory, I don't know what else could be, because this shows 23 red flags in one map. In the next graphic, we would like to show you something else. Now, if we talk about standard fire safety norms, why we are calling it, although this is not mandatory, but remember, there's another set of documentation we have gone through. Every listed company, Akshita, is required to disclose the risks the shareholders faces. If you go to the company's corporate filings, they have clearly laid it out that the company has risks related to, because the kind of chemicals, the kind of processes are involved, the fire is an absolute risk for its shareholders. So there should have been exhaust system, there should have been vented machinery, there should have been dust removal systems. But our ground reportage has shown that only 2 of these were being followed. Remember, this is not mandatory. But when the management is telling the shareholders that its business is prone to fire risks, these stringent fire safety norms, Akshita, should have been implemented, although it was not necessary. So it's a case of gap between 2 regulatory bodies. You have a local bodies which kind of assume that NOC was not mandatory, but you have to consider that you are dealing with a complex which is very much prone to fire, which again the company, the management has disclosed to its shareholders. I will show you the next graphics, Akshita. These are the recent fire cases. Forget 7 years back. This happened in 2022. This happened again. This complex was closed because it did not meet safety criteria. Remember, in 2019, at this particular facility, there was an incident. According to records, official records, more than 1 crore was the loss that was estimated. Despite that, if our ground reporter has found that there was not enough safety mechanism in place, it has to be called a case of willful blindness.
Very true. Multiple cases, as Ankit has shown you, in that very area, in that industrial site alone, there have been so many fires incidents that you'd think at least at that point, the authorities will wake up. The hope is that with what's happened in Sigachi, at least now, authorities will kick in and ensure that necessary fire precautions are put in place across that entire area. So many fires, nothing has happened to wake up the authorities so far. Mr. Bhatnagar, looking at the data that we've put out right now, you know, my fear is that a company like Sigachi Industries, a 2,000 crore company, has units across the world. And in different parts of the world, they'll have different standards versus in India, where they'll go ahead and cite all of these legal loopholes and get away with not having basic fire safety norms in place. Is this a pan-India problem, Mr. Bhatnagar, that we've just not been able to fix or solve?
Yeah, so anyhow, there are so many orders on this, and audit is required for that. That is fire audit. And all the points are required to be taken care. But in this case, I found that people are not serious and they have not followed the norms of this initial orders also, of the Factory Act also, it is mentioned. And audit norms also, Honorable Supreme Court's orders are also there. And also, moreover, there is a NDMA Act 2005 and Policy 2009, Section 10 and 11. It is clearly mentioned that such type of training is required for the laborers also. And but no training was given in such type of incidents. Why they have not taken it seriously? And also, there are so many, as your reporter is very much clear, and they have mentioned. So it is evident that this factory management was not taken it seriously, whereas they know that heavy chemicals are there. And blast, now see this condition. A heavy blast was there. That is why this debris, the building was collapsed. And our rescue operators are working there. And it is 40 nothing. After getting the clearance,
you know, the reality is that as a result of them not following any of the basic norms, there have been families who have lost their loved ones. 40 lives have been lost. And I'm hoping that, you know, we don't see that number going up because rescue operations continue at this point. There will be questions asked about whether it was a result of lapses, whether this was the result of apathy, of authorities simply not doing their job of adequate checks and balances. Those questions need answers, and we'll wait for the investigation to be completed on this. Navika Harshe, Krishank Mane, and Mr. Bhatnagar, thank you very much for joining us here on India Today. Heartbreaking, really, that this kind of a tragedy has happened. And questions must be asked on whether such a tragedy could have been avoided in the first place. Was it man-made simply because of the lapses? It's a story we will continue to track here on India Today. But from Telangana, let's move now to Karnataka. As promised, we'll get you all the details of the political potboiler that's been playing out within the Karnataka Congress. Will there be a CM change? Will there not? Well, in the last 48 hours, there's been a flip and back and forth non-stop. You had first at a point seemingly that it was a question of only when DK Shivakumar would be taking over as the Chief Minister. But then in the last 24 hours, completely rubbished, as Chief Minister Siddaramaiah has now pushed back against all of those calling for a leadership change and has said very clearly, I will remain the Chief Minister for the full 5-year term. DK Shivakumar is now on the back foot, essentially saying that, look, what can I do? The High Command has decided. Let's get you all the details in this report.
The tug of war for the Karnataka Chief Minister's seat is not over yet. Chief Minister Siddaramaiah on Wednesday dismissed all suggestions of any leadership change in the state.
ಹೌದು ನಾನೇ ನಿನಗ್ಯಾಕೆ ಅನುಮಾನ ಬಂದಿದೆ ಯಾರು ಅವರು ನಮ್ಮ ಹೈಕಮಾಂಡ
The Chief Minister's statement comes a day after Congress High Command emissary Randeep Surjewala ruled out leadership change. DK Shivakumar, the other main claimant to the post, has pledged his support to Siddaramaiah.
What option I have? I have to stand by him, I support him, and I don't have any objection to it. Whatever the party high command tells and whatever he desires, it will be fulfilled.
But the race is far from settled. Shivakumar's loyalists are not backing down yet.
200% वो बनेगा बनाएंगे. Within 2 months, he will be the Chief Minister.
All this confusion is music to the BJP's ears.
They are expecting a huge internal differences, conflict, and it may result in bringing down the government. So we are expecting a midterm assembly poll in 2026.
A chief minister who says he's here to stay, his deputy who's biding his time, and a high command that is unable to resolve the fight. The cracks in the Congress are only widening. With Sagai Raj, Bureau Report, India Today.
Now, with multiple statements from DK Shivakumar loyalists saying that there still will be a change in CM, DK Shivakumar will be made the Chief Minister. DK Shivakumar has now responded, and it's clear that he seems to have essentially given up and disappointed in the fact that no, he's not going to be the Chief Minister in the next few months. DK Shivakumar is saying, I have to go by what the High Command has decided. Listen to DK Shivakumar.
I have to go by my party. My party is important. My leadership decision is important. We have an aim to bring 28. We will work for that.
That's a message there from DK Shivakumar. Let me bring in Sagai Raj. He's joining us live from Bengaluru with the latest updates on this. Sagai, DK Shivakumar almost sounds disappointed there. Last 48 hours, essentially, a lot has happened. It seemed that, there would be some change in the CM. It hasn't happened. So perhaps that explains really why DK Shivakumar today sounds rather disappointed. Okay, we're going to get Sagai in just a bit to get you those details. DK Shivakumar, but saying essentially that I have to listen to whatever the High Command wants here. And that's why he says that he will focus on ensuring that Congress comes back to power in 2028. It's a similar tune that DK Shivakumar sang a few years ago when there were all those questions on whether Siddaramaiah will be the Chief Minister or whether DK Shivakumar will be the Chief Minister. He then, at that point, stepped back and was made the deputy. Seems like a repeat of that now once again. Let's bring in Sagai Raj for more details on that. Sagai, the sense you get when you listen to what DK Shivakumar said is that he does seem disappointed that he's not going to become the Chief Minister in the next few months. Is this him essentially resigned to his fate, Sagai?
We need to understand two statements. Statement from one is from AICC Chief Mallikarjun Kharge when he spoke to media in Bengaluru. He didn't rule out the change of power in the state of Karnataka. He said that High Command will take the decision. But High Command is quite disappointed that ministers and MLAs speaking on the street on the leadership change. And that is one of the reasons that DK Shivakumar is probably playing safe, where he says that he will listen to High Command. Whatever High Command decides, he will go according to that. And he has also stated today that his party is important and he will listen to his leadership. And his only aim is to bring back into power in the year 2028. So he wants to keep High Command happy because it is the High Command, end of the day, which will decide if at all if there is a leadership change. And accordingly, he wants to ensure that he is in the good books of High Command when it comes to the pact that they have between Siddaramaiah and DK Shivakumar, that they will change the leadership probably after 2.5 years.
Okay, let's see what happens in the next few months. Never say never, particularly when it comes to Karnataka politics. But thank you very much, Sagai, for joining us with all of those details. From Karnataka, let's move now to Tamil Nadu. India Today's Pramod Madhav questioned the Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin about Home Minister Amit Shah's visit to Madurai on the very same day that the DMK was holding a major event. Take a look at what really Chief Minister Stalin had to say to Pramod Madhav.
நீங்க திமுக வந்து மதுரையில ஜெனரல் கவுன்சில் மீட்டிங் நடத்தி ஒரு வாரத்துல அமித்ஷா ஹோம் மினிஸ்டர் அங்க ஒரு ப்ரோக்ராம் பண்றாரு. அதுக்கப்புறம் கண்டினியூஸா நான் தமிழ்நாடு வருவேன்னு சொல்லிட்டு தமிழ்நாடு எலெக்ஷன்ஸ்ல ஃபுல் கான்சென்ட்ரேஷன் பிஜேபி ஹோம் மினிஸ்டர் அமித்ஷா கொடுக்கறதா எதிர்பார்க்கறாங்க. இத பத்தின உங்க கருத்து என்ன?
அமித்ஷா அடிக்கடி வரணும். நான் ஏற்கனவே சொல்லியிருக்கேன். பிரதமர் அடிக்கடி வரணும். அந்த பொய்யை பேசிட்டு போறாங்க. அது பொய்ன்னு மக்களுக்கு தெரியுது. அது எங்களுக்கு தேர்தல் நேரத்தில் அது லாபமாக அடையும். அதே மாதிரி தான் ஏற்கனவே சொல்லி இந்த கவர்னர் மாற்றக்கூடாதுன்னு சொல்லிட்டு இருக்காங்க. ஏன்னா கவர்னர் எனக்கு நல்லது செஞ்சாலும் மக்கள்கிட்ட ஈடுபடாது என்ன அந்த அளவுக்கு கெடுதல் செஞ்சுட்டு இருக்காரு. அதனால அவங்க தான் வரணும் அடிக்கடி. அது என்னுடைய ஆசை.
So that's Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin responding to questions of whether he considers the BJP to be a challenge. He's saying, let Home Minister Amit Shah, let Prime Minister Modi visit more often. It benefits the DMK. We'll see if that's actually the case in the elections that are slated to take place in April 2026. Going to be an interesting one in Tamil Nadu. Now, let's move away from all that's been happening in South India. I want to also get you a quick update on the monsoon mayhem in Himachal Pradesh, particularly in Mandi, which is reeling. There have been cloudbursts, flash floods, landslides that have torn through the region. And all that's left is destruction, despair, and dozens still missing at this point. There's a red alert even as we speak. That's been issued by the Met Department for more rain in parts of Himachal. Here's Aman Bharadwaj's ground report.
Mandi is in mourning. Over the last 72 hours, torrential rain and cloudbursts have left Himachal Pradesh reeling. But it is Mandi district, especially the Saraj region, that has seen the most devastating impact. Multiple cloudburst incidents have been reported from Mandi alone, triggering flash floods, landslides, and washing away entire stretches of life and livelihood. In Siraj's Tunag area, contact is completely cut off. Over 30 people are still missing. 10 bodies have been recovered, and early estimates say more than 400 homes and shops may have been damaged. The Kuklak Panchayat bridge, gone. The Buckley wooden bridge, damaged. Even the Thalaut tunnel entrance caved in under a landslide, bringing traffic on the Mandi-Pathankot highway to a standstill. The Pandao Dam in Mandi recorded its highest discharge of the year at 1.57 lakh cusecs, raising alarm downstream.
We are at Oat Tunnel in a way to Kullu, and you see how big machines being placed to clear the landslide debris and also the big rocks that came down when it was raining here. And also you see the long queues up to 10 kilometers from here to Kullu side. They're waiting for their turn as the road gets clear so they can move towards Mandi side. So this is what the situation is on the ground.
नुकसान तो सर मेरा बहुत ज़्यादा हुआ है, गांव में भी बहुत नुकसान हुआ है। मेरी मतलब दुकान के साथ मेरे दो स्टोर थे, वो दोनों ही बह गए मतलब बरसात में। मतलब जो हमारे पैदल रास्ते थे, वो पैदल रास्ते भी बंद हो चुकी हैं इस वक्त।
Schools and colleges have been shut in affected zones, while IF choppers have been deployed to airdrop relief material in areas that have been cut off. Rescue teams are on the ground, but former Chief Minister and local MLA Jairam Thakur says the scale is unprecedented, calling this the biggest natural disaster Siraj has ever faced, and urging the state government to press in helicopters and more NDRF support.
पीछे 16 मेगावाट का पर्टिकुलर प्रोजेक्ट था, उसका नामो निशान नहीं रह गया। जहाँ सामने पुल था, इस सारी वैली को कनेक्ट करने के लिए एकमात्र जरिया वही था, और वो पुल बह करके चला गया, तबाह हो गया। 8 मकान सामने से थे और लगभग 6 एकड़ मकान इस तरफ थे, उनका कोई नामो निशान नहीं रह गया। लेकिन सिर्फ गनीमत इतनी है कि यहाँ लोगों को समय पर इवैक्यूएट कर दिया था, निकाल दिया था, ताकि उनकी जिंदगी बच सके। पशुधन का नुकसान फिर भी उसके बावजूद भी हुआ।
Chief Minister Sukhvinder Singh Sukkhu has promised rapid restoration of roads, power and water. But time and patience is running out for those in the eye of nature's fury. As Himachal deals with the havoc caused by the monsoon, the human cost continues to unfold. One landslide, one missing person at a time. With Aman Bharadwaj in Mandi, Bureau Report, India Today.
And unfortunately, the flood fury isn't limited to Mandi. Several other North Indian states are also facing the same situation. Here are those images. In Una of Himachal Pradesh, 5 people found themselves trapped in the swollen Swan River due to sudden rising water levels. The NDRF quickly sprang into action and has pulled them out to safety. In Dehradun, floods washed away a bridge connecting Rangad village in Tehri district. The bridge was under construction and would have connected 15 villages, but due to the flash floods, people are now struggling to cross across. In Uttarkashi, the administration evacuated pilgrims who were stranded on the footpath en route to the Yamunotri Dham due to adverse weather conditions. In Lakhimpur Kheri of Uttar Pradesh, a house has been submerged in the waters of the Sharda River following heavy rains and flooding. Severe waterlogging was also reported in Gurugram, with several kilometers of national highway affected along the service lanes. And for all of you living in the states where the Met Department has issued a red alert, stay indoors, stay safe. Thanks very much for tuning in to Super 6. I'm Akshita Nandagopal, wrapping up this broadcast.